opportunity for the juniors and mid-tier companies? Is this an opportunity for the juniors and mid-tier companies, or a monopoly that will result in the demise of smaller miners in Nevada? Luke, over to you.
Great.
Webcam, there you go.
Yep. Thank you, and thanks Bill, thanks Campbell, thanks O&M, and thanks for anyone who's listening in or watching in today. Because it is a very contentious point. Obviously, right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market space, in the precious metals arena in general. Obviously, we've all witnessed that since 2008, 2009, through 2011, into this sort of a dearth in the market we're in today. And then this big step by Newmont and Barrick to finally, drop the egos and join forces in their Nevada undertaking. And that is a very, again, contentious discussion. I think it's a point that everybody's asking themselves right now: what is the future of precious metals mining in Nevada? It's led to massive upheaval, a lot of uncertainty, and ultimately a real severe lack of understanding. So I'm more than happy to share with you my viewpoint today on just how I see things unfolding. I mean, first and foremost, a little about myself. As you mentioned, I've got 20 years direct history in Nevada, both funding and investing in numerous explorers, developers, and producers. I feel and I know, and we know through the why Nevada type viewpoint, that Nevada is one of the safest grounds on the planet, one of the safest jurisdictions on the planet to be involved in the mining space, because it's a very pro-mining state. It's got a long history of mining, but really that's only come to the forefront probably in the last 40 odd years of gold production. So the combination, this joint venture, this $18 billion joint venture between Newmont and Barrick, what kind of investment opportunity does that offer us? Does that offer me, yourselves? Or is it literally this monopoly going to overshadow any future efforts in Nevada? And I'll just give you my opinion right now. I think it's a whole new opening of opportunity in Nevada. As I mentioned, Nevada, very pro-mining state. If Nevada was a standalone producer, if it was its own country, as it were, it'd be the fourth largest gold producer on the planet now. So the combination of Newmont and Barrick's effort were primarily an opportunity for them to combine certain ore types so they could maximize production out of their mining opportunities. Obviously remove a large overhang of competition between those two companies, which has led to some egregious pricing in terms of acquisitions, but ultimately it's going to fare well for them. But how is that going to affect the longer term ongoing exploration and development of Nevada? And that's what I hope to discuss with you today. And obviously it's a pretty one-sided platform with me sitting here and everyone else on mute, but I hope to cover a few bases that I think are all important to this discussion, and hey, we can town hall from there. So just a brief history on Nevada and precious metals production in Nevada. It was in the late 1800s when silver was first discovered in Nevada, and that was by the force leading to the 49ers, who had made millions of ounces of discoveries in California, slowly heading west as those discoveries dwindled. Those miners headed into the Comstock area, and for about 20 years, Comstock mine helped fund numerous activities in the US. But as that sort of dwindled, as they moved east, and those big silver discoveries slowly were mined out, the discovery of precious metals really did slow down. And it wasn't until the very late 60s when an explorer by the name of John Livermore ventured into what is now known as the Carlin trend. And he saw very permissive looking rock types outcropping on the Carlin Trend, and he thought, well, there's everything here that would sustain and support gold, but when he took his geologist hammer out and banged the rocks, he couldn't see gold in there. So after years of pontificating that, it led to John assaying those, essentially what looked like blind rock, and he found disseminated gold throughout those rocks. So through the 70s and into the 80s, Newmont started to establish quite a foothold in Nevada, primarily on the Carlin Trend, focusing on these disseminated gold systems. In the mid to late 80s, Barrick made a what everyone thought was somewhat of a foolhardy step at that time. They purchased what we now know as Gold Strike for about $80 million, based off of one deep drill hole that had, I believe, encountered about 1,000 feet of 1 gram material. So they paid $80 million, and a lot of people were up in arms. They thought that was a pretty aggressive move by Barrick, but now it's the 40+ million ounce Gold Strike mine that we know of today. So through Barrick's step into that part of Nevada and Newmont's ongoing work in Carlin, a massive gold mining industry was born. So as we've watched over the last 40+ years, we've seen more and more mine depletion by these two majors as they compete for ground, and less and less real discoveries in the area. So in early 2000, when I really started taking a look at the mining exploration space, there was a new entry point for a lot of juniors into Nevada. Money was flowing back into the space after the Bre-X scandal had pretty much dried up all investment in mining exploration, and mining in particular. But a lot of those companies in the early 2000s had geologists who were not Nevada-centric, who did not understand the type of environment that existed within the Carlin and other areas. So there was a bit of, I'd say, malinvestment. You might hear me use that term again, but a bit of malinvestment by the juniors, and it led to a viewpoint that exploration in Nevada was too expensive, and that style of discovery was becoming far, far too difficult. So, fast forward to today, and you've seen Barrick attempt to step outside of Nevada and make a very big push into South America with Pascua-Lama, Pierina, a multitude of investments whereby they've spent upwards of $8 or $9 billion on infrastructure that's really not netting them anywhere close to what their Nevada operations do. In fact, I believe there was a comment by an ex-Barrick CEO that they were going to focus their efforts back into Nevada, and that was about 5 years ago. As that sort of movement took place, we also saw a reburgeoning of the exploration in Nevada. Exploration this time spearheaded by some of the explorers who had had great success with these majors, because you have to keep in mind, Newmont and Barrick, as they became land consolidators and mining consolidators, they moved largely away from grassroots exploration. Yet it was grassroots exploration that led to these massive mines that we have today. Barrick purchased in 1997 Placer Dome. They did so for Placer Dome's holding at Cortez. The Cortez mine and pipeline was sitting there with several million ounces of gold. Cortez had the right sort of carbon footprint that they look for feed for their roasters and mills. But their ongoing exploration at Cortez has now led to upwards of 30+ million ounces of discovery within that camp. So here you've got these very concentrated areas of gold discovery and ultimately gold production. But how did those areas come about? And are they the only two areas in Nevada? I mean, if you look at Nevada in a square mile basis and north central Nevada, where those two trends are located, you're talking about the richest concentration of gold on the planet, outstripping the Witwatersrand trend in South Africa. But again, these ground holdings, these deposits really have about a 40+ year history. 40 years with 30 million year ago geology that's generated, upwards of 200 million ounces of gold production to date so far. Much more of that in terms of resource that exists. Yet these two companies are vying over 20 years of remaining production based on their balance sheets. So it is my belief that whilst the combination of these two companies has created this upheaval and has really put question marks over some of the junior and mid-tier companies in the state, I think that in the longer term, things have just started. We're just about to see the real exploration flurry begin in Nevada. The other key ingredient to this JV, in my perspective and take on what this is going to mean to Nevada, is by these two companies joining, and with Goldcorp, of course, already joined at the hip with Newmont, you've really opened the door for a second and third tier, one of the not top 3 gold producers on the planet, to come into Nevada and clean up. Now, one of the key points to this argument, or to my viewpoint, again, comes back to the two trends, Carlin and Cortez. Now, those land holdings in large part are owned primarily by Barrick and Newmont, but I'll take a step back to a company that I'm involved, well, was heavily involved in, I'm still a shareholder of, and that's Gold Standard Ventures. Now, at Gold Standard, in 2008, right in the lows of, or the beginnings of the lows of what was happening in the US marketplace, myself and the CEO, now CEO and current CEO of the company, John Ord, decided we really wanted to make inroads into Nevada in a meaningful way. So we managed to acquire a big swath of land on the south end of the Carlin Trend. We ran into all sorts of, I won't say opposition, but a lot of naysayers that felt that if there was any meaningful land left in Nevada, and especially on the south end of the Carlin Trend, Newmont would already own it. And other viewpoints that obviously it had been drilled previously, and thus it had been drilled like Swiss cheese, and there was no opportunity available. Well, fast forward to today, and at one point in time, Gold Standard was pushing a market capitalization of almost $1 billion. It's going through some of the upheaval that I speak of through the Newmont-Barrick joint venture in terms of what's going to be the future of railroad. Well, it's pretty clear to me the future of a project like railroad, and there are numerous more, and I can try to speak to those, but the future for an opportunity like that is massive, because now it's allowing new entrants, and I don't just mean the other two that are operating in Nevada right now and are trying to also get a foothold, that being Kinross and Silver Standard, who've recently made a pivot, we'll say, from primarily silver production to focusing on gold production and looking for opportunities in Nevada. This has, again, opened the door to not just those two companies, but a myriad of gold producers who want access to, by far, the safest, best jurisdiction on the planet. And it's pretty easy for me to throw around statements like that, Nevada being, the best or the premier gold jurisdiction on the planet. When you compare it to the other four, you've got other three, excuse me, you've got Australia, you've got China, you've got Russia. Having operated a mine in Australia, I can tell you salaries alone are a big enough reason to want to avoid ever going into production in Australia. But aside from that, you've got all sorts of other difficulties in permitting, etc. In Nevada, it's a process. You want to permit a mine, you go through the process, you get approved. Russia, China, you've got all sorts of overlying difficulties, both governmental and land ownership issues, which aren't clearly stated. So these bigger miners, they don't want to be in these jurisdictions. They want to be where gold is abound. And I think this Newmont and Barrick joint venture is purely geared towards these two companies being able to show on a balance sheet a longer duration of mine life or mineability of their existing mines, but it doesn't give the future of these companies any real sort of spotlight. And the future of these companies is discovery in Nevada, ongoing discovery. And they have left that primarily and purely to the juniors. Both Newmont and Barrick do undertake comprehensive exploration within the shadows of their head frames, as it were, because we all know the old adage, if you want to find a gold deposit, look in the shadow of an old head frame or old gold mine. But the work that they've carried out, and Barrick have been extremely successful on Cortez, for example, at Cortez Hills, from the Cortez Hills discovery made by Placer, Barrick have since gone on to discover, I believe it's 10 Mile, Gold Rush, and ET Blue. Not knowing exactly how much gold is contained within those three deposits, but that alone is just within the confines of their 60 square mile land package. But what these gold deposits are hosted in are carbonates, which are rich and plentiful in Nevada, and they're structurally bound. And what we've seen and what we know through multiple companies that I've worked with in Nevada and continue to invest in Nevada is that carbonate, those structures, the pathfinder minerals that help lead to these discoveries are abound in Nevada. What's lacking is capital infusion primarily, but also we're using archaic methods for exploration and ultimately for drilling these styles of deposits. So we see that there are literally hundreds of thousands of gold prospects in Nevada. There's 600 amongst historic and currently producing mines in Nevada, 600 historic and producing mines in Nevada. I couldn't give you the exact number of operating mines in Nevada, but it's not close to 600. So you have all this highly prospective ground. You've got all the right hosts. We've got proof that the existence of these massive deposits is there and ongoing. Just again, in this last decade with the work conducted by Barrick at Cortez Hills, tens of millions of ounces discovered. But even these discoveries are not helping or affecting their balance sheets in a meaningful enough way to be able to really impact their market caps. So that's why you have these two majors coming together. That, and again, they want to blend ores because that helps them help use their infrastructure that they have, the roasters, etc. that they have, and really get the maximum sort of recoveries they can out of it. Blending a high carbonate, high sulfide ore from one deposit with another can lead to real energy savings in these roasters. So I think primarily that joint venture was about that, blending ores and working together in a very soft gold market to show that they have a lot of future production. But that
Luke, maybe a 1 minute warning.
Yep. But that future production is now in the hands of the juniors. And what the juniors are bringing to the table is AI platforms, are a new methodology whereby people are using satellite imagery along with known mineralization, metallurgy from these old historic deposits. And as well as a group I've worked closely with, as well as now working on coil drilling technology that was, of course, has been used and in the oil and gas space for decades, is now being brought about and being brought to the fold. Newmont actually worked closely with this one group to build this rig and haven't really advanced it. So I'm working with a group to try and develop that kind of technology. But ultimately, these big gold systems are laying undercover under alluvium gravels, under alluvium sands that have been blown in. This geology has changed a lot. Oh, sorry, the geology hasn't changed a lot. The topography has changed a lot over the last 30 million years. So in short, I think we're looking at the next big stories in Nevada are about to come to the table and come to fruition. And, you know, perception is the hunt is over. And now it's just competitive mining amongst the majors, but that's not a fair comment. In short, this JV is very, very good for Nevada Gold because it allows new entrants, and those new entrants are going to be looking for these new discoveries. and you're going to see more competition for acquisition, and you're going to see a lot more discoveries coming through Nevada with new technologies.
Great, thank you very much, Luke. And now presenting